Oh no. It's happening! With that. Yo, what's up? We're back with another show. What are we doing, folks? Bullets in the house. The Devin. Chaos was early. Byron. You're all good, Diablo? I hope your mama's doing well. Sandra, how's it going? I know, right? Miracles can happen. I am here to prove that miracles can happen. I have proven it. Time and time again, it has happened. It's an early Christmas miracle. Hey! Chille's in the house with Hollow Fade. Love to see it. Hey, Byron. Happy early Thanksgiving to all my good buddies, all my American friends. How is everyone? Oh no! Oh no! That is not real. Dude, Sony just became the biggest joke of all. This isn't real. Oh no. Oh no, Sony just became the most pettiest joke of them all. How's it going, Rebby? Oh, that seems a little loud, the music. It is loud. That was really loud. Hey, big money. Nah, can't do that. But Nintendo's gonna be out for blood in a minute. This is too good. I'm gonna show you in just a sec just how petty Sony can be. Oh my goodness gracious. This is actually quite impressive from from Sony. Oh man, that's good. That's good. I didn't think they can be this petty. Oh, I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you. I'm just on a roll today of actually getting myself organized. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. let me just do one last thing. Because at this point, I don't even know chat. Oh no. Alright. Chat, this is really special. I'm doing good, Rabbi. I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Big B Money. I'm doing good. No, it's even worse than that, Brian Morse. It's even worse. Sony just did something that I cannot believe is true. No way. They actively inflated their PS2 numbers so the Switch would not overtake them. Dude, no way. They actively inflated their PS2 numbers. Remember I was joking that Jim Ryan was going to go and buy 4 million more PS2s just so he can inflate the numbers? Jim Ryan finally did what I said. This is gold. No way. No way. You cannot be this sad. You cannot be this sad. I'm sorry. You cannot be this sad. There is no way that those numbers changed. Nah, no one's buying a PS2. Who are they trying to fool? No way. No way. It's okay since we're making numbers up. My Xbox 360 sold 400 million consoles. This is ridiculous. How petty can you get? Oh man, that's good. Ain't no one believing this. Not in a million years. Humanoid Origin is closing down, yes. Unfortunately, they couldn't get any sponsors, any funding. It is bad news, people losing their jobs. But that's the way the industry has been. It's a cutthroat business. I mean, to be fair, the PS2 was in active sale for about, what, 12 years? So the Switch still has like 4 years on it. I am live streaming, Rabbi. What do you mean? Now, ain't no one buying PS2s in 2024 or 23. This is rubbish. This is Sony just saying, let's just fudge the numbers like we always do. The PS2 was a glorious machine, but this is pathetic from Sony. Why do you want to? The studio's gone. I don't understand what you're trying to say. Because Square Enix buying those PS2 dev kits. Yeah, they're gone. They've decided to close shop. There's not really much else to say about it. They've packed the hooch and off they go. They didn't release anything notable anyway, so new startups are ridiculously expensive. that's the sadly unfortunate truth. But there's nothing on their official Twitter page. But I know they're gone. But yeah, that's crazy. Mate, how many of you have bought PS2s this? I am not late. I was on time. Devin saw me on time. Do they have a mini PS2? Have they released a mini PS2? Money, Rebby. No money. That's crazy. That's made me laugh. That was hilarious. They got so scared of Nintendo coming close. They added 5 million just like that. They pulled the switch and just went, and off you go, another 5 million. Oh man. I guess this was their big announcement that they were gearing up to. Phil Spencer didn't close Blizzard? What are you on about? Blizzard is too big to close. Yeah, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, Chille. I don't care how much of a pony you are. I ain't buying it. Ain't no one. I mean, secondhand PS2s don't count. They're not making new PS2s. Where are they selling these PS2s? Where are they actually selling them brand new? I need to know this information. This is important information that I need to know. Chille is stockpiling them. Chille, where are you buying them? I need to know this information. Oh no, this is funny. This is good. This was gold. This was like the best opening to a show I could have asked for. You know what, Sony? Thank you. This is good. They got so shook of Nintendo, they realized we have to lie about our numbers quick. Fudge them just like we fudged the PS5 numbers and the PS4 numbers. Fudge them all. Because they count shipped, not sold. I wonder, the refurbished ones. Man, this is hilarious. This truly is funny. I don't think. Where did they be getting this from? Sony, when another console gets close to the PS2's all-time sales. Of course, ain't no one believing this shit. Ain't no one believing it. No way. Ain't no way anyone is believing this. I noticed they are very careful about the wording of this. They don't say sold 160 million, they say over 160 million. So I guess if the Switch passes it, they have an out to say actually 163 million. I mean, they can technically go up to 164 million. I guess 999, right? Because at 65 million, it's a centipede, so they have to use the 5 decimals. So now, by saying over 160 million, if a Nintendo gets to 161, they can say, it's 163. This is jokes. This is jokes. This is funny. Microsoft have nothing to do with that studio, Rebby. That's not a Microsoft studio. That's an independent studio. It's not nothing to do with Microsoft. You know what, Chille? I don't think you can rule that out. Rabbi, Humanoid Origin isn't nothing to do with Microsoft. They're their own company. Oh, no. No, it gets better. The shill is out. The shill is out. Oh, Jeff Keighley they just couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. Sony has confirmed that PlayStation 2 has sold over 160 million consoles. It is the best-selling console of all time, followed by Nintendo Switch, which has shipped over 146 million. That's actually way higher than 146. 146 was last year. I know, right? Chille's just he betrayed me. No, that's his new YouTube channel. He actually hit his milestone of 50 subs. If you like Dragon Ball Z, go check him out. He does a lot of Dragon Ball stuff. You're good, Paul. You're good, Paul. Me too, Steve. Me too. This became a joke, Sin. At this point, you're right? Where does it end? Where does it stop becoming silly? I want to know where they actually sold these consoles, brand spanking new. Paul, basically, Nintendo, I think, has hit like 150 odd million. Last I read. And they were getting dangerously close to PlayStation's 155 million. And then Sony just decided, hey, we fabricated 5 million cells. Just like the Switch. And they pushed themselves to over 160 million. Someone has to be proud of our pony. I ain't got a clue what it is, but this is not real. This is bogus. This is fake info. There's no way in anyone's mind anyone is believing this. Everyone is mocking them now. Everyone. I love how Sony keeps adding cells every time the Switch gets closer. That's just funny. That's just funny. That's crazy, man. Sony summoning 5 million more unnamed people to buy a PS2 so the Switch can never surpass it. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. That's just crazy. You know what? John Gray, you heard this GameCube sold 200 million? Hey, at this point, why not? If Sony can make up numbers, anyone can make up numbers. Oh yeah, Jeff Keighley was on this like a hawk. Tariffs? What do you mean tariffs? Oh, I heard about that. The price of the PS5 Pro is going to be like $1,000, right? Or 1,000 plus. Let's see. Now let's go with a 360. The hell's wrong with my spelling? I mean, they said over 160, was it 160 million? So it can only go up to 165. So that 165 and 1 will surpass it. Yeah, that tariff that. What is that tariff that Trump is adding anyway? Because that looks crazy. Well, the biggest problem with the Switch 2, I think they've already decided on the hardware. It's building the bloody thing. It's too expensive to build it. They can't keep the cost down, and they have to keep the cost down to keep it competitive. One of the key things for Nintendo is that the prices are low and they make a profit. They do not want to be making a loss on these consoles. Ah, this is the tariff for anything that's from China, right? Japan, well, anything from the East. I mean, the Switch is only as powerful as the PS4 and the Xbox One, right? Well, PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. That's what the last reports revealed. So it's not overly powerful. The tech is quite old, but considering the Switch took Nintendo all the way through what 12 years, or is it 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, whatever the Switch has been out for now. I think the Switch 2 in that state will provide them with enough power to get through what they want. But it does have DLSS because it runs on an NVIDIA chip. the The specs that I read said that NVIDIA, the Switch 2 would have DLSS type support with an NVIDIA Tegra graphics card. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I agree. Yep. But come on, that this is special. This is special. I just knew that I just knew my dude could not wait until he came out. Jeff was there every step of the way, man. Well, it's really weird because now, like, if you look at Silent Hill 2, they fixed the image quality by disabling Pisser. That's interesting, right? Uh, More than likely, Paul. They're still a couple of years away, but I tend to buy all consoles when they release. But at this point, if it just, I mean, I was talking to someone today, and they were like, "Well, there's no reason to get an Xbox," and there's enough reasons to get an Xbox. Your backwards compatibility, cheaper cost value, they get games day one on Game Pass as opposed to everyone else, every other console. Those that do get some of the games, so there's still value in owning a console. A PC won't play your backwards compatibility unless you're pirating. Now, Tech didn't release too early. Tech released exactly on point when it was supposed to be released. See, a lot of people don't understand why Sony has released the PS5 Pro. Do you guys genuinely believe that they released the PS5 Pro because they wanted to, you know, show more power and this and whatever it is? It's got nothing to do with that at all. Nothing. Literally nothing. The whole purpose that the PS5 Pro exists is to train the pisser technology so that when the next iteration of Sony's console comes along, the AI will have 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is, trained under its belt to be able to perform at the highest level. It's all a training regime right now. This is all a learning phase for their AI. Everything is being soaked in by the AI to learn and evolve. That's the only reason the PS5 Pro exists. That's it. The only reason the PS5 Pro exists is for their pisser technology to actually evolve and learn. So when the next iteration of the console comes, it's going to be in a much more evolved and advanced state and actually show its true potential. You're not going. I mean, you're seeing all these like Gran Turismo 7s running in 8K and whatnot. I mean, racing games are easy to upscale. They're not native, but it's just upscaling. And some of them are upscaling from like 2K to 8K. It's crazy. It's not going to give you the best picture. But it's a learning process. So even stuff like Silent Hill 2, which actually look worse when you're running it with PSSR, it's all a learning. Sony doesn't care because the AI is just soaking all that data in. Basically, PS5 Pro owners are guinea pigs. They paid $700 to be a lab experiment. And they love it as well. Yeah, that's it. They are beta testers for the real thing. The real thing that will arrive in like 4 years' time, 5 years' time. Sappho, that's because they disabled the PSSR. That's why now it hits the same thing. So where the PSSR was doing its thing and the AI was trying to make the image better, it was actually making it worse. So the fix was disable PSSR because it's just making things bad. And so by disabling it, it fixed what they were having. It reminds me of this time when I was working at Sega, and we were having, I think we were testing, I think it was Virtua Tennis. It was Virtua Tennis on the PSP. Yeah, it was the PSP at the time, and so we were doing, because the PSP supported ad hoc network play, right? And we just kept getting bugs where the network would desync, and then you'd start suddenly playing an AI. And we this went on for weeks. And then one day we got the patch notes come through, and it said, "This is the one. We fixed it. Everything is perfect. You will not find a single bug. We guarantee it." And we was like, all right, a bit skeptical, being QA, it's literally our job to break their work. We booted up we loaded the game up onto the PSP, booted it up, and lo and behold, they were right. It was actually fixed. Their fix was to remove the whole game mode from the game. You could no longer play network play. You can no longer play ad hoc. Fixed. Done. That was their fix. I haven't used MAME in a long, long time, Sappho, so I'm sorry I can't actually answer that. It's been forever. I used to use MAME and, Sega Arcade 3 and stuff like that, but those were like almost 10 years ago. I genuinely cannot remember. Oh, Paul can definitely help you then, Sappho. Mobile gaming has actually shrunk, right? I think it shrunk by like 4% last year. I don't know how it's doing this year, but it did shrink by about 4%. PC, on the other hand, is growing exponentially. Oh yeah, back Sony had the PSP, which they abandoned. They had the Vita, which they abandoned. They had the PSVR, which they abandoned. They had the PSVR 2, which they abandoned. They've got a new hardware coming, which is interesting. The only one they didn't abandon was the PSVR, the PS Portal, mainly because they didn't have to do anything because at launch it was just a remote play device, and even now it's just a cloud machine, so they still don't really have to do anything in terms of support. It's the only reason that the PS Portal is even remotely successful, because they don't have to support it. Woodpit, it is. It's $50 too expensive. As a remote play device, I said the Portal was worth $129.99, and I would have picked one up at that price. But it's not worth $200. As a cloud machine, I'd add an extra $20 on top, and say $149.99. And you know, if you look on eBay, last I looked, last week, once this news came out, they're dropping to about $150 anyway. So they're getting there. You can do the same thing on an iPad. You can do the same thing on anything in terms of remote play, but playing the PS5 games can only be done on the Portal. They weren't worth saving, Rabbi. So this is the story that company that Rabbi's talking about. This was run by the dude behind Mass Effect. He took over and he was gonna make this all-encompassing super sci-fi game, and then investors said, sorry, not interested. And they just didn't really have anything to show outside of concept art and stuff. And with the way the economy is going, they announced that they're shutting down. And they closed office. It's a shame, but they didn't have anything. As for why Microsoft didn't buy them, there's no reason to buy them. They've done nothing. Microsoft isn't a charity. Hey look, Star Citizen is good. If you was there in my stream yesterday, we watched some of the most epic bugs there ever was. I might actually show it to you guys again today. But those bugs were amazing. Some of those bugs in Star Citizen, early Star Citizen, were just gold. Rabbi, I've just answered you. Microsoft isn't a charity. There's no reason to buy them. Hopefully at some point, Paul. What other older Activision Blizzard games? Honestly, Byron, they've got a whole catalogue of games that they could actually, go through. But in the end, until the FTC case is over, I just don't see them doing anything drastic. Rabbit, that studio has done nothing. They've built nothing. They've made no games. They've got no tech demos, nothing. There's literally no reason to buy them. As sad as that sounds, and as heartless as that sounds, they've done absolutely nothing to warrant purchase. They've not proven themselves. They've done absolutely nothing. There would be no difference between buying them and going outside and employing a bunch of, you know, random developers, putting him in a room and saying, hey, you're the new Origin team. Go for it. There's no difference. You know, it may sound like I'm being a heartless prick, but in the end, the truth is the truth. And if the truth hurts, it is what it is. You know that post I put up about the series, the Xbox 360? Someone just posted. Ironically, 160 million of those would be replacement units for the RROD plague. Hey, it still counts, right? Oh, Chris, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Being great in it and actually landing are two different things. $350 is actually pretty decent for a VR headset, but you can get the Meta Quest for the Meta 3S, I think, for roughly that price, and it's standalone. I think that might be a better value. But if you've already got a PS5, then it's pretty decent, Joshua. Just don't buy it at full price like I did. It's not worth the full price. But at almost half the price is pretty good value. If they want to support it. They just haven't really been supporting it. And it doesn't have Half-Life Alyx. I think you'll get better value out of your MetaQuest 3 than you will from the PSVR 2 for now. But 350, like I said, isn't bad. If you love your VR gaming, there are some exclusives on the PS5 that won't hit the MetaQuest, so you'll probably find some games there that, you know, you'll enjoy. So it really depends how much of a VR enthusiast you are. Why would Stalker 2 close down? GSC is, well, one, GSC has nothing to do with Microsoft, and number two, their sales were pretty good. I guess it's a good segue into it. They sold 1 million copies in their first, couple days? And that's with, like, the game being on Game Pass console and PC. So on the different PC clients, it sold over 1 million copies. They made their money and then some. Bags, did you see my impressions video of Stalker 2 today? If you haven't, do check it out. I think you'll see that we kind of both landed on the same point. What did I pick up? Chris, I picked up all of my kids' Christmas presents. And my nephews and nieces' Christmas presents, and now I'm broke. In that video, I was pretty honest. I mean, I did play it, I guess, essentially, so around 16 hours. Up until the 4-hour mark, the game is fine. You experience almost no bugs, except for the 2 instances that I found where the guy got shot 5 times in the face, and then said he was taking a tactical retreat. My dude had 5 holes in his face, and he was still taking a tactical retreat. But those bugs are golden, right? Those bugs are the best bugs. But imagine taking 5 shots to the face and then saying, "Yeah, man, I took a tactical retreat." They will not shut down. Well, Microsoft can't shut down GSC for one, and GSC has made enough money, Rabbi, that they're good. Yeah, like I said, Bags in the video, the more I progressed, the more things were happening, and I think it might have something to do overall with the save file. I've seen that before with these games where the more it saves, because there's a ton of auto saves that happen, and they seem to just be stacking and stacking and stacking. Like there's a huge list of autosaves, but also your save file gets bigger and bigger as you continuously scrum save. So I'm wondering if your save file actually has something to do with it. But there are clearly fundamental problems there. You know what, Steve? If that happened, I probably wouldn't live 3 minutes into the game. It'd be like, ugh, ugh. But yeah, I can't really say what I got because, well, my kids are around intently listening because they heard the word Christmas and presents. So their radars are now quite succinctly alert, waiting for me to reveal the gifts. Yep, there's one and there's two calmly sitting around waiting for me to reveal what's actually being got. Huh? Oh, you're not? You've just decided that you're going to come in here for no apparent reason, like you never do in the past. And you're just actively just listening away, pretending you're not listening, delaying your time in here as if it takes you that long to put a charger into that thing. Oh, now you're fake tripping as well, yeah. Hey, Wayne's World, long time no see, buddy. Welcome. 14-hour shifts, dude. That's rough. We should definitely catch up offline, dude. Rabbi, it won't be handheld. It won't be cloud only. Paul, I hope you have an amazing Christmas this time round, dude. I hope it's, as special as it can be. 14 hours is rough, though, dude. It is very rough. But yeah, Stalker 2 is, they did well. They did very well. Their Steam numbers are well. That's the only numbers we can actually see, unfortunately. I'd love to see, differing numbers outside of Steam, but that's not possible because we never see those numbers. But you know, it is what it is. But 1 million just on Steam is pretty good. It should be in the description below, right? Of this stream. If you look at the description, you'll definitely find it there. If it doesn't work, let me know. But last I know, it should be working. 23 hours. I think Phil's gonna want it to run many things, not just Xbox games. But it looks like a lot of Camp Sony isn't happy with you know the PlayStation handheld reveal, the one that's supposed to you know, play native PS5 games. That's not a good. I mean, if you've seen how that's affected Xbox now, Sony are about to do the exact same thing. Their handheld is essentially going to be the Series S. That makes the PS5 Pro even less worth. That makes the PS5 Pro even more useless. That's crazy. Let me get you a link. Because that won't work. This is not Twitch. I mean, this one should still work. It will not only run Xbox games, Rabbit. It's going to run a bit of everything. But yeah, so there seems to be quite a bit of unrest in regards to that because people are not overly happy that the handheld is existing. Can't blame them. Sorry, 1 second. But yeah. Because that's not the vision Phil Spencer wants. Phil Spencer wants everything. Everything and anything. Paul, you're pretty much on point with that one. More or less. More or less. Where is it? Let me see. So let's push this forward. So the director says, I do like Xbox. Square Enix's Final Fantasy director discusses taking the game multi-platform in a new interview. And so he talks about how he has an Xbox and he really likes the Xbox and he wants the game to be on other platforms. Obviously, my assumption right now is that Sony has a contract with them preventing the game from releasing until the third is out. I mean, the best you can possibly hope for right now is that the first one will be released, and then when the third game gets released, the second one will come out, and then a year later, the third one will come out. That's the best you can possibly hope for, but in reality, especially with the way Sony works and their contracts, chances are, once all three of the games are out, that's when you're going to get like a complete definitive package on Xbox with all three of them bundled in for you to play back to back. That would be my assumption. Oh wait, I'm not even showing you my screen. As you can see here. So it's gonna happen. Just don't expect it. Put it this way: I don't even think the final game is going to make it within this Xbox's generation. So my assumption is that the next Xbox will land, and the third game might come out by then on the PS5. So it'll probably be built for the next generation Xbox. Just my assumption. I could be wrong. Nah, they're not going to release the trilogy at the same time as the PS5 release. That's 100% not going to happen. I mean, it would be hilarious, but Sony would have put a deal in place to stop that from happening. Paul, it will be the definitive version to play outside of PC. On console, it will be the best place to play games. See, now we have this situation with the consoles where they are now off sync. I don't like it. We've gone back to the whole 360 and the PS3 days, where the PS2 was going and then the 360 released. I don't like it. I don't like it because the new Xbox is going to come out. It's going to trample over the PS5 Pro, and then if the PS6 exists, that's going to come along and then trump the next generation Xbox. And then if you might have a mid-gen refresh, I know Xbox, I don't think they're worth it, but they might come along where Xbox might decide that it's worth it this time round. They're going to release their mid-gen, and then they're going to release it. And so it will literally be a game of dominoes on who has the most powerful console, and that is just going to continue until consoles cease to exist. It's a bit stupid, and it's a nightmare for developers. I mean, to be fair, Steve, it wouldn't affect me because I get to play them anywhere, PC or PlayStation. So you wouldn't be hurting me, but you would be hurting your fellow Xbox gamers. Paul, me too. I don't see them go. It depends on the internet infrastructure and how it goes. But I think, you know, if the next generation lasts about 7 years, plus the 2 we've got now, I think we're looking at 9 years. And with Sony looking to extend the PS5 Pro to 2030, I don't think it'll hit that. I think 2027, 28 is going to be the maximum they can take it. Whatever comes after that, maybe they'll have a PS6, maybe they'll call it a day and decide that just going full PC is the right way, and they'll release a affordable PC. I mean, that's where everything's going anyway, so. I mean, that's crazy, man. That tariff that's going to come in is astronomical. I mean, technically, it's going to the PS5 one at least is just going to be a native PS5, right? It's going to play PS5 games at a downscaled level. So my assumption would be, yes. Eventually, Paul, they're just going to be apps on your PC. That's it. That's cool, Wayne. I mean, even if it doesn't do everything, you've at least got GeForce Now to give you next generation gaming if your internet is good enough. Or xCloud. But don't forget, if you really want to make use of GeForce Now, I recommend getting it before December the 31st. Because they've got that stupid tariff coming in where you can only play for 100 hours a month. Kind of sad. I don't see that lasting the year. Man, people are so gullible. Just Ghost of Yote and I think Wolverine, right? Wolverine is supposed to release next year. And if you believe Steve, Gears and Halo as well. The true pony within our midst. The betrayer. I don't think they're rushing next gen. I think by then the current gen will have peaked what it can do. Right? Oh, Steve. That would be something. Call of Duty. Call of Booty. In the first 30 days from launch, together you made Black Ops the biggest Call of Duty ever. It's number one in the total players, total hours played, and number one in total matches. It is, in Call of Duty terms, the most successful Call of Duty of all time. I mean, in the end, PC is going to dominate all, right? That's just you and the zombies? It's interesting because Crap Gamer decided to jump in here somewhere. Where is it? Wow, Helldivers 2 still has 403,000, or is that from before? Is that now? Crap Gamer and Uni. Oh no, it's not. Game doesn't even hit 40,000. Yeah, game doesn't even hit 40,000 anymore. Have a good night, Wayne's World. I mean, I think graphics matter to a lesser degree, but for many people, graphics do matter. There are a lot of graphics snobs out there. It's really weird, right? My kids started going, "Oh, Dad, the what is it? Rocket League doesn't look as good on the Series S as it does on the Series X. The graphics are not as good." And I said, "Dude, you're playing Roblox. Don't start talking to me about graphics. Don't start talking to me about graphics when you're playing Roblox." And that was the end of that conversation. I don't think Space Troopers did one. I think that was like beyond broken. I was looking at it, and then Steve said it was broken beyond recognition, so I left it. Starship Troopers Extermination, right? It peaked at 100. It peaked at 16,000. It ain't doing too good. But it has about 500 players, so their devs are happy. Have a good one, Paul. I don't know what the FPS is running on that, Bags. I watched the dev direct and I was gonna make a video on it, but the dev direct, well, the deep dive was just a waste of time. It was 30 minutes of them circle jerking. The deep dive didn't really tell me anything other than stuff I didn't really care about. In fact, the deep dive actually pushed me further away from the game than it would have done if I'd never watched it. Steve, those numbers don't lie, buddy. But yeah, so this is good. But Crap Gamer was saying, but what about sales? What about sales? It's all about the sales. And I'm like, dude, if it's the most players, that means that there is a greater chance that these players are buying microtransactions. They're buying the battle passes. They're buying the add-ons. That's all revenue. They also revealed that they had the most Game Pass subs day one of a game release of all time. That's all revenue. Then you've got the overall 23% increase in game sales. That is all revenue. Sure, you know, on the Xbox front, it may have been cannibalized with more people playing it on Game Pass, but those Game Pass subscriptions went up. So did it really cannibalize? Especially with a huge amount of them buying the Vault Edition. didn't really cannibalize. So they paid $20 to play it, to subscribe, and then $30 on top, making it $50. So they lost what, $20, which they probably spent on microtransactions anyway. So they're fine, but you know, it takes a certain level of intelligence to comprehend what's actually being said, and I guess that level of comprehension just isn't there for some people. And unfortunately, Crap Gamer and Uni are just one of those. What game is that, Susanna? Of course you did, Steve. Do you know what? Let's talk about the. Where is it? Because the main point I want to talk about is Phil's new interview. But let's talk about this real quick. So there's a lot to talk about, and Alex Smith has suddenly re-emerged out of nowhere with breaking. You're going to see Arrowhead being bought by Sony Interactive Entertainment, and Sony Group buying Kadokawa, mainly for the anime, but Sony's profile will mention or From Software. I low-key want this to happen. I low-key want this to happen. I'm against, the anime side of things I think is bad. And it will give Sony quite a bit of a controlling power. I think they'll own like 90% in the West. But I think low-key, it's going to be interesting to see how Microsoft react when Sony make all Kadokawa games or developed games or all their IPs exclusive to the PS5, because Sony will do that. It's literally how they work. So anyone assuming that they're not going to do it is being delusional, but I guess there's always that little bit of a chance, right? Just like in Dumber and Dumber. You know, when she said there's like 1 in 100 million, and he goes, so you're saying there's still a chance? So there's always that speck of a chance that probably will never materialize. But the reality is, if they buy it, chances are they're going to be exclusive. Now, I'm the type of person that likes to see all things burn, so I actually want to see Microsoft's reaction in that situation, because that will be telling greatly on how they will proceed forward from that point on. I mean, if the game continues to release on PC, it won't, Bags. And you know, I think Mag says it here, right? Let me put this on. Let's stop that for a second. I think Mag says it here.
The FromSoft situation. The one thing that I did hear is it said, listen, the FromSoft situation, if it does go through and it does happen the way that they are, it says apparently they're very aggressive about this move. They really want it, and it's not really about From Software that they want. It's more like the anime because the money is there. From Soft is just something that's going to drive more people to the platform. He did say the game. He said from what he's heard from people in both camps is that the games will not be exclusive. They will just not be exclusively on Xbox.
So I actually see that a reality. So I actually see that actually being the case of, you know, that's just how Sony rolls, right? But for me, I want to see what reaction Microsoft will have. What will be the overarching reaction to it? Will they still say, "Okay, sir, you can have some more," or are they going to grow a pair and start saying, "No, enough's enough"? So that's my thinking. Because I think at that point, that is going to be a do or die situation for a lot of diehard console fans, whether they want to, accept it or not. But that decision that's going to come from Microsoft on how they decide that they are going to react to the purchase, I think will ultimately dictate how people will continue on going forward. Whether they will continue on the, Xbox console bandwagon or just completely go to PC. Obviously, your backwards compatible stuff is, going to be something that you want to play. So the console will always have its value. But in terms of just the next generation games, people might say at that point that's the breaking point. Market lead is a stretch, but I mean anything's possible, right? What can compete with From Software? It's a top tier studio. I mean, see, here's the thing, Bags. I couldn't give a shit about any of, almost none of their games. I don't care about Bloodborne. I don't care about Elden Ring. I literally don't care if they never existed again. I literally don't care if another game was never made. Because I don't enjoy those games. So for me, it literally matters nothing. And as long as the games are releasing on PC where my kid plays, then he's happy anyway. So he cares as long as it releases on PC. But for me, that statement is very personalized to people who like Souls games. Those that do not couldn't care less. I don't think I am the minority. I think I'm the minority not caring for GTA, but Souls is a much more of a niche genre than you would care to believe. Obviously, a lot of things could change before both an Xbox handheld and a PlayStation handheld is released into the market, and there's no guarantee I don't even know what that is, Rabbi. What that's even referring to. I mean, clearly there's no guarantee of what. I mean, both of them are working on handheld consoles. None of them might ever come out. That's obvious. I would say so, Bags. GTA is mainstream. So me saying that I don't care about GTA, I'm in the extreme minority. But Souls games are still niche. They don't appeal to the mass audience. They have their market and they have their, community, and they appeal, it's there. Dude, I bought Elden Ring as well because I got caught in the rage. Imagine how many people like me existed. I played it for 2 hours and thought it was shit and decided to turn it off. And my kids played it for, I think like 40 hours, 50 hours until they finished it. Was it 100 hours? Whatever it was. But I bought it for myself and I thought it was crap and I turned it off. How many? Because I just got suckered into the rage. Everyone was talking about it. Game of the generation. It was pants. I don't like it. It was garbage to me. I'm happy for the people that liked it, but how many people like me got suckered into the hype? I suspect loads. Whereas GTA doesn't need any hype. What you see is what you get, and I know what it is, so they won't get my money. They'll get my kids' money, but they won't get my money. How we can agree to disagree, Bags? But you know I'm right. Deep in your heart, you know I'm right. You just don't want to admit it, but you know I'm right. I'm not on the website, no, Ravi. You can see what website I'm on. It's okay, Bags. I know. I know. We have this telepathic connection. I know. I can, I know that you know I'm right. Yeah, it was totally that breakout game. I agree. Because, like I said, even I got suckered into it. And I got bored within 2 hours. It just wasn't my, I know I don't like those games. I mean, even Lies of P, I really like the setting of Lies of P. It's, it's a really good setting. But even that, to a certain degree, just got boring after a while. Hey, look. Hey, look. Look. We are the Borg. You will comply. That's all I'm saying. We are the Borg. Rabbi, right now, all I can say is that the console, both sides want to make a handheld console. Sony wants to make a handheld console. Microsoft wants to make a handheld console. Both of them are saying the console is about 3 years away. I know someone is saying that it's going to get announced at the Game Awards this year. If it does, everyone is going to, swallow the L and apologize to him. But I don't see it personally. But you know what? It would be amazing if he was right. It would be amazing because it would be something to be excited about. I like new hardware. I like new tech, right? But let's be realistic. Those plans could quickly change in 6 months, where they just turn around and say, we're not interested in making a handheld console. We'll leave that to other people to do, and we'll just release our games on there. See, if Microsoft and Sony were smart, that would be the play that they do. And Microsoft is in even a better position right now than Sony, because Windows is their goddamn operating system. So they can turn around and release like a reference spec and say, hey guys, look, this is the reference spec. If you make it to this spec, you can advertise that your console, your handheld PC can run backwards compatible Xbox games through a sandbox. They can run 360 games, Xbox One games, through the sandbox while playing the actual Series X games, PC versions, on PC, on the handheld. Or even a console version on the handheld. So they've actually in a much better position to do that. And if I was Microsoft, I would do that. I would take something like the next generation Asus ROG, brand it like an Xbox with Xbox logos on it, and released, make sure Windows has like it's released at that reference, and say, this one is capable of running all your backwards games. Go buy it. Done. They don't even need to make new tech. It's there for the taking. Have it pre-installed with Game Pass PC app already on there, and off you go. People can install Steam or whatever they want to do, is fine. But that would be the smart play from Microsoft. This whole we're going to create our own one, I think is a bit just... I don't see the need when others are doing it for you. They can partner with one of them, just like they do with Samsung and Seagate and everyone else. Have like a specially branded version. Have Windows run a sandbox, have the sandbox. I mean, that's their plan anyway. They're working towards it. They want Windows 11 to actually run Xbox on there natively, so you'll be able to play all your back catalog games through Windows on your PC natively. That is the plan. That's what they're working on right now with their new UI and their new dashboard. So why not extend that to the handhelds that are out there on the market? You need to have it at this minimum spec. As long as it hits this, it will run these games at full speed. Boom, done. Microsoft doesn't even need to have their own handheld. Sony, on the other hand, wants to run their game's native PS5 version. They have to go into full R&D. They're in a much worse position than Microsoft is. I don't think they're trying to compete with Nintendo. What they're doing is realizing that people want a game on the move. People don't have time, our lives are way more busy now than they were 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So, we're working longer hours. The older generation, the younger generation doesn't want to be fixed in one place anyway. And the older generation can't sit in front of stuff all day to do stuff. So being able to pick up a handheld and play for half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, and put it down is extremely, useful to a lot of people. That's where things are evolving anyway. So it's not about competing with Nintendo, but it's about meeting your audience, your customers' needs. And at this moment, that is where the market trend is going. Yeah, Steve, they are. And that's the whole point. They've been working on this sandbox for about a year and a half now, about 18 months. And they're trying to get, the Xbox games working on Windows. And as long as they can get the backwards compatible games working that you've already purchased, they will port that straight over to a handheld and the job's done. Any Windows-enabled handheld with that reference will run your backwards compatible games. They don't even need to release a handheld. The Steam Deck sold enough. What if Microsoft have SD cards for Xbox handheld? The games are too big for SD cards. I mean, you say that, Susanna, but certainly Microsoft is doing exactly the same thing with the Series X and the Series S. I'm sick and tired of deleting games because I've got no space. And I still refuse to buy a memory card unless I can find it for $100. It is, Steve. Rabbi, I think that right now there is enough out there. They just need to get it working on Windows. If they can get, if they can get the backwards compatibility of the Xbox games working on a Windows environment, what could a Xbox specific handheld do that a generic Windows enabled handheld can do? The only difference will be that it will have the Xbox branding on it, which they can partner up and actually, push out. I'm not saying they shouldn't do a handheld console. I'm saying, at this point, we don't even know if they will eventually even make a console. At the moment, Microsoft is still in the prototype stages, and I suspect Sony is too. But with this Kadokawa thing, I kind of want it to go through because I want to see what Microsoft is going to do. Is Microsoft going to take the gloves off and go full on? Or is Microsoft going to sit back? I'm kind of hoping that we're going to see the ruthless side of Microsoft. I'd love to see it. It's been a while since Microsoft has really taken their gloves off. But time will tell, right? Time will tell. Rabbit, it will 100% be Windows based. That's guaranteed, without a shadow of doubt. It might be a light version of the Windows, but it will definitely be Windows based. I don't know if they're official partners with Asus. I just know that they promote it a lot. Pride, David. Pride. No matter how idiotic these companies may seem, more often than not, they will do something in order for company image than anything else. That is why they would care. Right now, putting a game on PlayStation doesn't make them look stupid. Not in the grand scheme of the overall, kind of economic world. It's a sound investment and they're making more money. So at that point, it looks fine. And, they will argue that they've got Destiny, they've got MLB, and they got I think one other game, but whatever. They will argue those and say they're doing the same. But the moment your opposing team buys a studio and then keeps it for themselves and excludes your side completely, that changes the narrative entirely. And a response more than likely will be made. And it'll be interesting to see what that response is. I mean, that's just me. I'm that type of a person where, I would love to see what would happen. If we had like the Vex machine from Destiny where we could see alternate realities of what things look like, this would be one of the ones I'd like to see. What would happen in this situation? Unfortunately, we don't have a Vex time machine, so we can only have one shot at this. So I would definitely like to see what would happen. Send me a screenshot in Discord. Let me see. I love the fact that you've got me. Experience Windows 11 handheld gaming. Yeah, this is what I was to unlock powerful handheld gaming performance with the new Windows 11 ROG Ally and Xbox Game Pass. It's not saying that you would have to have this there. What does that actually say? Partner, what? What does it say? What does it say? Oh, innovation. Okay, there you go. Oh, I didn't realize they were officially partnered. Then that makes it even more pointless. I mean, Boom thinks it's going to appear there, Rabbi. Not David. One thing you have to understand: the rich only get satisfied by getting richer. That is the only thing that satisfies them. The rich will only be satisfied by getting more rich and showing dominance and power. PSSR is still infant. All it's doing right now is just learning. I mean, just look at this, right?
You also took a look at Black Ops quickly because Tom's doing a video on that. And we also have PSSR implemented on Black Ops as well, which is kind of interesting from my perspective because the amount of iteration and refinement that's gone into Infinity Ward's own solution pretty much since Infinite Warfare at this point. I'd be really surprised if, suddenly a machine learning model came out of the blue and just produced better results. I mean, it'd be great if so, but I'm curious what you thought about it.
I thought it actually was leaving a lot to be desired there. There's the issue that people are talking about online about the speckling, and that is there. It seems to be like specularity because Tom has a couple of examples of it, but just seems to be like rogue highlights from materials that just get caught up as one pixel and not filtered out like a Firefly filter would do, which sometimes doesn't even come from something like TAA. It's something that's pre-TAA sometimes. And there were other issues there too, like regarding thin geometry, thin transparencies, as well as small scale patterns that, like from a larger scale started to get moire in them. So things that would just not look as good as the previous TAA because that wasn't compared to some sort of perfect anti-aliasing or something like that. And in a case like that, it is a little bit odd to see the old version looking better in aspects, even though, once again, the hardware is way better in PS5 Pro on the GPU side of things, which is the thing that matters most. So yeah, I don't think it acquitted itself very well in that title in comparison to what it did. And I once again imagine that would be a great title where future versions of PSSR could just be retroactively applied to it. Another thing I thought, like you just mentioned, Rich, is that game on console specifically is doing a whole lot sub-native. Shading, they have a software VRS solution, which is going to be degraded.
So yeah, PSSR again, just not coming through. That's a lot of companies to buy in one go, J. Cola. I don't think they're going to go that far into it. That's pretty much the motto right now, Woodpit. Yeah, that's exactly what I said, Steve. This is all a learning step. This whole PS5 Pro right now is all about gathering data and teaching the AI how it should do things the correct way. And it's going to take 3-4 years until it gets right. But all of this is in preparation for whatever the console that's going to come next, so it can start with a clean slate and actually just be good off the bat. So, like someone said earlier, PS5 Pro owners are essentially beta testers. It is nowhere near DLSS 3.5. I mean, Matt Booty already said we can pretty much buy them if we wanted to. This was, in the FTC court case. We can spend them out of business. If we really wanted to, we could do that. That was already stated. I mean, upscaling is cheap, right? DLSS is probably the best one there because it's done game specific. It's not the moment you have a one fits all, it becomes very generic and you're never going to get the best possible quality for it. The thing that makes DLSS great is the fact that it's not a one fits all. It's a case of it's engineered towards each game. And that's what makes it actually function the best out of all of them. They say it's better than FSR. More than likely, FSR is probably the worst of them all. Although XCSS might be the worst of them all. I'd say it probably goes XCSS, FSR, DLSS. FSR is software, so AI will generally be better because it has a hardware chip to do it for you rather than it using software instead. Sazano, the same reason why Microsoft had to fund Apple all them years ago to keep them alive. Competition. Hey, Telos. Well, here's the thing. I think in 2-3 weeks, the 1-year anniversary comes around for when the FTC appealed for a trial. And from what I've been speaking to someone, and I'm not any expert in this, I'm only going by what they said. If there is no decision made during that period, it can only be extended for another 2-3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, I think they said. And after that, the case will kind of just disappear on its own. Mainly because the office and office personnel was changing anyway, so the case will just drop. There's a limitation period from what they were saying. True or not, I don't know. Once it hit after a year, they kind of have to either act on it. If they don't, then there is a kind of preliminary period after that, which is 3-4 weeks. And if no action is taken after that, the case kind of just disappears. And it looks like the FTC is just kind of waiting for that time to evaporate and delay it as much as humanly possible just to be dicks about it. I mean, this is something that actually pisses me off, right? And a lot of people don't understand why Steve is correct. There is a big reason as to why Steve right now is actually correct, and it's actually bad for gamers, right? Because not everyone has a VRR enabled display. Not everyone has a 120 hertz display. Games now aren't trying to hit 60 FPS, they're trying to hit 40 FPS on Xbox and 45 FPS on PlayStation, so they can hit that magical VRR number and let the frame generation do the rest. However, if you're on a 60 Hz TV, like millions of people are, you don't have VRR enabled, so you get stuck on 40 FPS. You get a absolutely piss poor performance, right? So they're not catering for what is arguably the majority of the player base. They're doing the minimal viable now and being really lazy about it, because as far as they're concerned, as long as they hit that magical number, their job is done. You don't like it, go buy a better TV. And I think that's wrong. They're not even trying to hit 60 anymore. They're trying to hit that 40 and 45 frames per second so VRR can do it. If you look at all of the pictures that you see from, Nicola or Persona or Jay Bari or all of them, everything is with VRR enabled. None of them will show you anything that is with VRR disabled. Why? Because the games don't hit 60. I can tell you that for a fact. They do not. Stellar Blade does not. God of War does not hit 60 FPS. Ratchet and Clank does not hit 60 FPS. They do not hit 60. Only in performance mode do they hit 60. But if you try to play the quality mode, like they're saying 100 FPS, 120 FPS, it does not do that. It gives you roughly about 50 FPS. It never hits that 60 if you have a 60 Hz TV, because you cannot, VRR isn't enabled. So what he's saying is 100% true. It's really annoying because these companies now, these publishers, these developers are just trying to hit that magical 40 and 45 on both accounts, not just on, the PS5 Pro. This is happening on Xbox as well. They're trying to hit that magical number and saying that's good enough. And if it isn't good enough for you, go spend $1,000 on a new TV. And that's bollocks. I corrected myself, but Gears will probably be the same. But that's what they're doing right now. And that's why it's a problem. That is why it's a problem. And I feel that, the point that Steve is making here, that upscaling is, it's all good and everything, But when you start to rely on it in order to get your games to hit 60, well, not everyone is on that technology yet. So what happens to those people that aren't on it? They suffer with a poorer experience because you can't be bothered to optimize your game. I mean, UE5 just isn't ready for the current tech. It's just so unoptimized. Right? UE5 just is so unoptimized. It's not ready for general consumption. It looks great, but Epic needs to do a lot of work on that to make it better. I mean, Play Anywhere is a great feature. Play Anywhere is one of my favorite features in gaming, period. You know, for me, the direction in terms of where Xbox is going with the whole ecosystem, being able to play whether it's on the cloud, natively on your handheld console, on your PC, or your Xbox, for me, as you know, a father with kids, that makes my life a hell of a lot easier, as it means that if I want a game, there's always a device there sitting for me to continue my gameplay wherever I am. My kids come back from school, they want to jump on my PC, whether it's to play Roblox. You know, I've got 4 kids, so 2 of them come down from school, at least, you know, my daughter and my son. They jump on this PC or my Chromebook. Things are occupied. Or my kid will jump on the Xbox to play Rocket League, so then I can jump on here and continue playing. If he wants to jump on my PC to do schoolwork, I can jump on my console. So for me, the whole ecosystem works. I know it might not be for everyone, but at least for me, the ecosystem has been a blessing, and I can't now imagine not having that ecosystem available to me in order to game. You know, if Sony did the same thing, it would be a blessing, at least for me. I know it's not for everyone, but it works really, really well for me. But Wacko games, I haven't heard anything specific about it outside of the fact that, you know, it's a great feature. But more games need to support it. Wacko, I can't see that happening. Sony just wouldn't allow Game Pass on PS5. It would hurt their sales enormously. I can't see it happening. I mean, UE5 people should just avoid using it until it's in a better place. You know? But then you've got stuff like this. Microsoft is testing a new game-aware browser overlay for the Xbox Game Bar. It kind of gives you hints and tips and stuff like that. Essentially what Sony has on their dashboard, now you're going to have it on your PC Game Bar. And it'll basically, you know, give you guides and stuff like that for you to be able to use when you're playing your game. Hellblade 2 is probably not the best choice to show this picture, but considering it is really just one path. But you know, it's a cool feature, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what they're trying to achieve. I think this is cool, by the way. I think the way they're trying to evolve the game bar is actually positive. I don't know how useful it's going to be, but more features is always a good thing as long as it doesn't hurt performance. I get that, Steve, but is 5.5 optimized? Who knows? I just feel UE5 right now is technologically either completely unoptimized or too much for the current gen hardware. But Avowed seems to be in a bit of trouble, isn't it? They kind of did something that was really stupid, right? Stephen, I'm not media and I haven't really heard anything about that. So we'll find out soon enough. Probably nearer to the 12th, but we'll soon hear about it. But if it's a device, it's not a handheld. I mean, wouldn't it be funny if it actually was the handheld? That would be quite hilarious. Everyone would have to take the L, Astro Cyborg, the works, right? And boom would be right. The Forza engine is really good. The Forza engine is really, really good. You think it is the Cloud Gateway controller? How will that help the play anywhere, though? Because apparently the announcement was based around Play Anywhere. Hey, look, guys. One thing I will be with you guys always is a realist. I'm no. That's something you'll always get with me. My opinions might not match with yours, and they may not align with your beliefs, and that is perfectly okay. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I will always be a straight book and a realist. I mean, that makes the most sense, Stephen. Game Awards. But Steve, that wouldn't be a really big technological leap because Stadia's already done that. Stadia did that years ago. But I guess that kind of coincides with the whole Play Anywhere. Just not in the sense that we're used to the term. Yeah, Ventura, it's not. No one's buying the Switch stuff in China. So they're closing the WeChat. But it's only in China. And that seems to be deliberately done. I like Stadia. I'm sad it's gone. Hey, if they make a phone, I will get it. I loved my Windows phone. If they make a Windows phone again, I will get it. Or even an Xbox phone, I'll get it. But Avowed. Who sat down and watched the deep dive for Avowed? What's everyone's thoughts on the deep dive? I'm kind of waiting for the ROG Ally 2 now. I've waited long enough, and Microsoft's reveal of no handheld console for another 3 years came too late for the Ally X, so I'm going to wait for the ROG 2. Because that's going to have the Extreme Z2, so see how that performs. Don't worry, Steve. There was almost no spoilers because 95% of it was just discussion. But what they did show, some of it looked alright, some of it looked eh. I don't know. I wasn't blown away, personally, but they've decided, their art director for Avowed has decided that they wanted to make a tweet online. Because, you know, nothing bad can happen when you have weirdos deciding that they want to go on their work promoting accounts and post something absolutely stupid. What could possibly go wrong when you post this? This is the art director, by the way. I wanted so badly to make him mad with my game, and I cannot believe it actually happened. I just wait until you see the default. You said little shite. But that's a really, really smart thing for an actual art director to say. Anyway, Avowed comes out February 18th next year. Give it a whirl if you ain't feared, I mean, I can't even spell properly, of the woke mind virus. Like, why? Like, what could you possibly hope to achieve by this? I don't get it. Right? Elon has been, you know, ever since, I mean, Grums is an idiot anyway. I think everyone has established that. But Elon has been on this kind of escapade with Trump for ages now, trying to, you know, they're both aligned on it. Why would you decide as an art director to turn around and say something so stupid like that? I mean, there is pronouns in the game. It's growing. It's growing, dude. Forza is definitely growing. But yeah, Bags, I agree. You do not mix business with politics. Now, this to me sounds like they put all of that stuff in there deliberately to piss off a certain fan base. And they've come out and purposefully said that that's why they've done it. So what do you expect the reaction to be when you actually point this out? But this goes beyond that, Steve. No, Stephen, this is there's no way any studio is going to protect you from making a stupid statement like this that will hurt your bottom line. I mean, if you do it from your own personal account, that's fine. But this is their work account. Why would you do it from your work account where you're promoting the company? I mean, they don't have a choice with that one, Tarnished. You know? They don't have a choice. It's made. They've paid for it. But Steve, exactly. That's the point. Do what you want on your personal account, but on the company-facing account, this is awful. This is totally sending out the wrong image. Like, why? What could possibly possess you to say that I purposefully added all of this stuff in, pronouns, whatever, into the game to piss off Elon Musk? Like, the whole thing is a political statement. And you've come out into a public-facing body on your work account representing the company you work for, Obsidian, and making this statement. He should be fired. For this, he should be fired. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Bax. He should be 100% fired for this. If I did this for the company I'm working for right now, I would 100% be fired. Nah, it didn't, Susano. It didn't. This didn't go through no PR, no lawyers, no nothing. This was just some crazy dude that decided that he was going to take the law into his own hands and post what he felt like. Unfortunately, social media has become the Wild West. And if this does indeed cost the company millions, which it probably will do now, because there is a massive pushback against this tweet, it's going everywhere, Avowed is going to get suckered down. And the potential sales that it could have had could go out the window. And if it does, all the blame is going to be on this Matt Hansen. Like, I watched a video recently by someone called Laura. And she was basically talking about how the industry has changed over time. And, these companies, especially in the West, they don't get it. The ones in the East, they know what their community wants. They give what their community wants. And their community is happy to buy those games. Whereas those in the East, in the West, tell the consumer what they want. It's not a matter of asking the consumer what they want. They turn around to the consumer and say, we know what you want. You don't know what you want. You are going to like what we like, and you are going to like what we give you. And that is essentially what's happening in the West. At least for now. And we're seeing more and more games failing each time. I mean, look at Dragon Age The Veilguard. IGN quickly have taken their review back. They saw that the game sold less than Outlaws. It didn't break any shattering records. It actually did really, really badly. And IGN have now taken their 9 out of 10 review back, and it's gone. They don't have a 9 out of 10 review anymore. They've taken it back. Because they were left pale-faced, and now they're, posting about how bad the game is. When originally the game came out and it was 9 out of 10. which further adds to the proof that BioWare PR actually told all these media outlets, you will review this game well. If you do not, you are not going to get another copy of the game. But now, because of the way the game is and how badly it's sold, these media agencies are now pulling their stuff back. John is going to be on Game Pass. This is from Obsidian, who works for Microsoft, yes. It's just stupid. It's just absolutely stupid. Like, why would you possibly do this? I mean, it just now proves that BioWare was, in fact, paying for reviews. You know, they were telling, you know, all this, return to form was exactly, you know, what people were suspecting. And you had all these diehard defenders out there trying to prove that it wasn't the case. And you saw them, right? I'm not going to name them, but you saw those diehard defenders saying that it wasn't, when it clearly was obvious that they were all using same terminology within the first sentence in the exact same almost sentence structure. Now, you know, that kind of, with IGN pulling their review back, that starts to add more credence to that, doesn't it? It's just sad. And then you had the director of Dragon Age come out and say, oh, well, I didn't realize that the community doesn't really like this stuff. Maybe we shouldn't have put it in. I wasn't involved with any of this. When 5 minutes later, the dude was cheering about it in a you know, naked parade. I mean, it could be her. White lady, kind of, I think short hair. It's just, give your community what they want. The consumer is right. I mean, it's like Gordon Ramsay actually says, right? The consumer is the most important thing, because without them, you go bust. You need to make sure that your consumers are happy with, you know, their meal, the service, and that they want to come back. If you treat them like crap and start insulting them and making fun of them and telling them that you don't know what you want and we're going to give you what we want because that is what you actually want, when it's not what they want, they're not going to come back. In fact, they're not even going to pay for the meal that you're putting on the table. They're just going to tell you to piss off. Like, I just don't get this mindset. Regardless of how people feel about it on, you know, well, if people are offended because of this and that, well, clearly a majority are. It's not a minority anymore. That's it, Susano. And this is why, you know, they turned around and tried to attack the Shift Up developer, right? And saying all this and all that about him in the way he was designing Eve and the outfits. And his response to them was, I like to look at attractive women when I'm playing my games. That's it. And he said, I'm not going to change. You know, when Yoko Taro was asked, why does he create the female characters the way he does? He turned around and said, I like women. And that was his response. You know, it is just the way it is. It might not be right, but it's what your player base wants. And clearly the minority is not buying enough. And so for you to come out and make this statement 2 months before the game comes out, you have to be an absolute prick to do that. There has to be something wrong up here. This isn't the gotcha moment that they think it was. We already do have the crappiest games ever, Steve, and they're not listening. Maybe if they listened, we might actually have something worthwhile. I'm not saying that the players always, the players are always right, because obviously that's just stupid. If you left it to the players, you would have a really, really bad game. As you say, there has to be a balance, but on certain topics, there just has to be a hard line. Don't bring politics into video games unless it's Metal Gear Solid. Then you can bring as much politics as you want because it actually works, because it's designed to be a heavily political game about warfare. But that's not going into the social politics, that's actually going into the warmongering politics. So it's different. I do miss a good Metal Gear. I don't know. Yeah, Obsidian will be fine. Jason. I'm not worried about them closing down. I think they'll be fine. I think enough people will buy the game to make it a success. I still think it's a niche game. Do you guys think this is a mainstream game or a niche game? Dustborn got robbed. You fool. What are you talking about? You want your bold space marines? That will never happen, Jason. Not yet. But who knows under the new regime what is happening. I don't know. It's just weird to me. You've got to be a special kind of stupid to post something like that. Visions of Mana can now be streamed via Xbox Cloud Gaming. For those of you that are playing on cloud gaming on your mobile, Visions of Mana is now one of those games that are cloud enabled if you have purchased it. I think this is great. I really like the way that you can buy your games now that aren't on Game Pass that will now be cloud enabled. I think that the fact that they're adding more and more to this now is really, really cool, and I think this is a great feature. So this will help to push at least xCloud more, but it's great to see that more games are being added to that system. And if you've already bought the game, get a little controller add-on for your phone and off you go. Steve. Okay, look, Steve. Here's a counter argument. If it doesn't matter, why do they need to be a beast? I mean, clearly they're trying to make a political point and a political statement. But if it doesn't matter and that political statement they're not making, they shouldn't need to make a political statement. Why are they doing it in the first place? I mean, what you're saying applies in both ways. If it doesn't matter, Why are they actively doing it? Clearly, it matters to the people that are making the games. Enough for them to jeopardize the sales of the games. I mean, bags, it's even good for people with a console, right? If you're on your Asus ROG or your Steam Deck upstairs in bed, you can now load up Visions of Mana and off you go through the cloud. No worries whatsoever. You don't need, you're good to go. Although this is available on PC anyway. I'm not sure how it runs on the Steam Deck. But even if you're just to play it on your phone, you're good to go. But clearly the developers do care what they look like. They actually do care what they look like, and that's the point. If they didn't care, then there wouldn't be a problem. Jago, I agree to a certain extent with that statement, but I would still like to identify as a lamppost. Steve mod for 2024? Dude, if he became mod, I wouldn't have a single viewer left. You want to be a dolphin? A lamppost is good enough for me. I like my viewers, thank you very much. So, Horizon. Lego did not do very well. In fact, it actually did worse than Concord. Just when you thought it couldn't actually get worse for Sony with their PC releases, this one's a bit of a surprise. I thought this one would have actually done a bit better. I don't know why this one failed so hard. Whether it's the PSN access, because, I mean, PC gamers are weird. They are more stubborn than anyone else, but this did really, really badly. Like, doing worse than Concord, that's rough. Gorsty, you're not wrong. Honestly, I don't see... I mean, I haven't played it. But I've heard from people that it's a fun game. You know, the story plays out in like, what, 6 hours, 7 hours, whatever it is. And it has the, you know, all the Lego quirks. But I just don't understand how it failed so badly. Like, how does it actually fail this badly? I mean, Until Dawn on PC flopped. This flopped. Concord flopped. I'm even remiss to say that God of War Ragnarok flopped. I haven't seen the numbers, but there was almost no fanfare for that game. It kind of came and died almost instantly. This just doesn't make sense to me. But the other Lego games have done okay, right? Rum Punch Man? I mean, it could just be that people are literally just sick of the Horizon franchise. They have absolutely saturated it. If it's, you've got the first 2 games, and then you've got like 7 remasters, 24 remakes, and now a retelling with Lego Horizon. Maybe people are just completely kind of done with the franchise for now. That's not a Sony IP. The Until Dawn game, yeah, that just came out and died as well. It's just weird. There's like, it's mental. I mean, Helldivers did great numbers. Astrobot did 1.5 million in 3 months. I expected more, to be fair, but 1.5 million is still 1.5 million. I haven't, Steve. I mean, Rum, maybe if they did actually release a cartoon of it before releasing the game, it might have actually did better. But Fantastic are they're just jokes now, man. There's no real reason for them to even be here. Let's see. As you may have noticed, we stick to stylized graphics. Shit, we're back to Half-Life 2. I swear Half-Life 2 had better graphics. I mean, they've got the Horizon MMO that's coming soon, right? John, it is 1 year, yeah. But it's not a Sony IP. But these graphics look insanely cool, right? Herman Holst. It's his baby. Herman Holst, I'm afraid. Cyberpunk has now sold over 30 million copies, with DLC Phantom Liberty having sold over 8 million copies. From where they were when the game first released this is pretty much one of the best redemption arcs you'll probably see. It just goes to show that, despite all the negativity that they went through and all the problems that they had, they stuck with it, they turned it around, and they delivered, man. And, good on them. They never gave up, they never succumbed to defeat. They kept on plowing away, even though the community was 100% against them. People were, completely and utterly devastated by CDPR and the way they lied to their community. But you know what? Credit to them. They stuck with it. They fixed it over a few years. And they delivered something that's now worth your money. And to commemorate that, 30 million copies sold is no understatement. That is no mean feat. That is really, really good. I mean, I don't understand how this got best ongoing game of the year. This is before Phantom Liberty even came out. But apparently releasing patches and fixing the game with Jeff Keighley counted as best ongoing game. Make that one make sense, folks. Patches to fix the goddamn game was regarded as best ongoing game. Do you know what, Bullets? I see what you did there. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. So the final part of the stream that I want to get to is this interview. Now, this one was in 2023, but we do have one very similar to it that's recent. But a summary, this no longer works, but if you are interested, I will post a Korean link and you can translate it for yourself. The summary from Phil Spencer's interview is Xbox is willing to bring Xbox games to platforms such as PlayStation and Nintendo. Xbox titles are not locked to the Xbox platform. Xbox is more than Game Pass. Xbox's true success is getting more people to play Xbox games. It doesn't matter if you play Xbox games on Xbox console, PC, cloud, or another console. No matter what device you play on or how you play, when you play an Xbox game, you become part of the Xbox community. I will never interfere with that. So this was from the 2023. Fast forward, and apparently this dude has been talking with Phil in DMs, and they've got like a thing chat inside the insider group because he's apparently in charge of the accessibility side of things when it comes to Microsoft. But in a recent discussion that they had, I'm not sure if it was really an interview, Xbox is willing to make its games available on all platforms like PlayStation and Nintendo, which was their stance in 2023. Xbox games are not restricted solely to the Xbox console. Again, the same thing. Xbox is more than just... I mean, these are all pretty much regurgitating the same thing. I think, and this is just my opinion here, right? It's clear where they're going with the Xbox brand. I just think they're going way too aggressively, and the change is what's pissing people off. The change is way too quick. this was supposed to be a transition period, and what they've decided to do is go with a sledgehammer. I mean, everything that you see here is basically them saying, we are third party. That's what this says. I don't know how true this is or how true this 2023 one is. I mean, it seems like everything was regurgitated exactly the same. But I think it's way too aggressive. They shouldn't be going with that mindset. I did actually do a quote tweet, and I'll read out what I said. I am happy that they have picked a lane, but this seems a little too aggressive of a push. There is no transition period here. It's like it or lump it. I can see how many Xbox fans will be upset with this response from Phil, with how aggressively they have been, and honestly, it's a direct message to their loyal fans that ultimately they don't matter. I get the industry is evolving, and so is Xbox, especially after the position they have been placed in, but the message shouldn't be this harsh. I don't know if this is true or not, because I don't know if any of this interview is true or not. So, you know, I'm going to point that out, that it could all be bollocks and I'm making an ass out of myself. But it's clear this is the direction they are headed in and have been for a while. And that much is clear, right? We can see it. But being this callous and aggressive at the same time isn't good. The only reason to own an Xbox now is your back catalogue. PC does do everything better, and this is exactly what Phil is saying. You know, your back catalogue is essentially the only thing that matters right now in order to keep an Xbox going. What do you think of this state? What do you think of this? What's your thoughts? Devastator, everything is an Xbox. Me too, Ventura. I've been an Xbox fan since day one. Exclusivity is only stupid when everyone else is playing, you know, the same game. When the other parties are not playing the same game, the only team that seems to be stupid is the only one playing the game, right? I get what you're saying, and to a certain degree, I'm with you on that one. But if the other parties are not doing the same, you are devaluing a reason for them to pick up your platform. But Steve, you have a 4090 PC, so it doesn't really matter in your case. You game on PC. I mean, I know you game on your Xbox as well, but for you, it literally doesn't matter. I did say that. I don't know. There's just, like I said in my tweet, I feel like the push for the direction that they want has been way too aggressive. How are they deceptive? I mean, there is nothing out there that says the whole slate is going. And the counter argument for the no red line is quite simple. If Microsoft or if Phil turned around today and said there is a red line on game A, B, C, D, E, F, G, in 10 years' time, or 20 years' time, or 30 years' time, when consoles don't exist and everything is cloud-based, and if they were to put one of those games on another platform, there's going to be some idiot out there, probably on the Pony side, that's going to find that tweet from 30 years ago, like they did from 2014, and bring it back and say, well, look what he said. He promised that this wouldn't happen. So, in order to avoid that, they could just say that there's no red line, but internally, they do what the hell they like, and there's certain games that they just won't push. That way, they're not lying. No one can come back and say that they're lying and deceiving their community, and Bob's your uncle. So, I don't see them falling into that trap again. I know, Devastator, I can totally see that, especially with like the handheld side of things. You know, it's obvious what Sony is doing. They're just doing it at a much more slower pace, which is where I would expect Xbox to be. I just feel like the transition that Microsoft is pushing right now is way too aggressive. They've got a clear vision in mind, and they don't care who they trample on as long as they get there in record time. And I personally just don't like that. And look, I would buy another Sega console in a heartbeat. One thing you'll find, John, is that on Xbox, they will generally run at a higher resolution internally. Whereas PlayStation will run them, so they'll look nicer and crisper and sharper. Whereas on the PlayStation, they're happy to have the lower resolution to push the frame rate to 60. Where Xbox will be on like 55, 58, and they won't quite get to that locked 60. On PlayStation, they're happy to have worse visuals as long as it's 60. I don't think that sacrifice, Steve, is worth it. I mean, Valve's moves was pretty awful. They tried to be smart, and the lawyers outsmarted them, and now they're pissed off that the lawyers outsmarted them and played them at their own game, and now they're trying to sue the lawyers and trying to get all of their 75,000 cases dropped. And you know what? I hope the lawyers succeed. Because Valve tried to do something that was absolutely scumbag move. And I hope they get what's coming to them. They deserve every single thing. You'd be lucky with 1 Gears of War game a year. Yeah, I think I got Spider-Man on the Steam Deck at least running around 45 frames per second, which is quite nice. But yeah, like, to me, I think this is Microsoft are just moving too aggressively for me for this, and honestly, I said in my tweet, the backwards compatibility options, and if you enjoy the console, benefits like quick resume and whatnot, the features that come with the Xbox console, I can see why people would still want the console. But if you don't have any allegiance or any ties down to your backwards compatibility, with the direction that Phil Spencer is going, it's giving people less and less reason to pick up a console. And I know people are going to say, well, console sales don't matter anymore. And maybe they don't, as far as Microsoft are concerned. But with third party, they do. And third party look at the install base that can buy. And until said game is available to buy and appear on the cloud, it's not available on the cloud. So like right now, Visions of Mana has an install base of about, well, how many Game Pass? Let's just assume there's 40 million now Game Pass subscribers, Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. 40 million of those have now access to Visions of Mana. That's a decent pool, right? Whether they'll play it or not is another matter. But now, that's Visions of Mana has a 40 million pool. Now, if Game Pass had 60 million subscribers or 80 million, they would have like an 80 million pool of players that they could dip into just by including the cloud side of things. But not all games right now are on the cloud. They will eventually add more and more. But assuming Final Fantasy 16 releases next year and it's not on the cloud, your install base is 30 million. 30 million is still a lot. But considering attach rate is like about 3 to 5% max, generally, that number is a lot smaller than, say, someone who's on 80 million. And that's the point. That's what third-party companies look for. And so when you see games skipping, that is why they're skipping. So, it's for the consumer, it should still matter. For Microsoft, they don't give a shit because all they care about is selling subscriptions to Game Pass and just pushing the games that they have. Now, as for what Valve did, Bags, so about a month ago, they made you sign a new terms of service where if you was unhappy with anything Valve did, you now no longer have the legal right to sue them in court. And they will cover up to $10,000 of legal fees by hiring the lawyer, by hiring the team, the arbitration team, an arbitrator to actually come down, sit and listen to both sides and make a decision. So they cover the costs up to $10,000. They've done this because if they go to court, they're obviously going to pay a lot more money. And so in order to strip the consumer rights and consumer protection, they've introduced this new system, which is pretty much, they pick the person that's going to stand there and decide, and they're paying up to $10,000, which is a hell of a lot less. So the lawyers decided, right, since you want to be a scumbag and remove even more consumer protection, we are going to open 75,000 cases that you now have to pay $10,000 each. And Valve said, whoa, that's way too many cases. That's a lot of money you're expecting us to pay. And now Valve is turning around and taking the law firm to court and trying to get those 75,000 cases dropped. And I hope that they do not get them dropped, and I hope the judge finds in favor of the lawyers, because what Valve did is pretty scumbag move. They essentially stripped away your consumer rights, and they tried to camouflage it in a good way by saying, but don't worry, we'll get adjudicator involved ourselves, we'll pay up to $10,000 so you don't have to pay a penny, when they're going to be found right almost 99% of the time. Now, this goes back to the whole point. No company is worth your absolute loyalty. Because at some point, every single one of them will try to screw you over one way or another. All they care about is your credit card, your bank balance. As long as that has money to go cha-ching, cha-ching, then you are a valued customer. If it doesn't have cha-ching, or the next person alongside you has more cha-ching, then that person immediately is more valuable to them than you are. I mean, essentially, yeah. Oh, Devastator, they never want to hear that. They never want to hear that. But, I don't know. I think that was a pretty screwed up move by Valve, and they shouldn't have done that. But it is what it is. You know, it is the Valve way. Don't worry, Ventura. You'll matter to me. Now start paying up. I wasn't joking. I genuinely meant it. Start paying up. I'm okay. But yeah. If this statement is true, though, it's a little sad. Damn straight bullets. Considering how much I paid for gifts, they're all gone to bed now. From AirPod Pros to official Xbox headsets to a new mobile phone for my son. My other kid got a monitor. My 9-year-old nephew wanted a cupboard. Believe it or not, he wanted a cupboard. My young niece wanted some toys, so bought a bunch of those. My youngest niece wanted some Frozen stuff, so bought a bunch of those. Spent a fortune this Christmas. And nothing on myself. But this coincides with the Korean interview from 23. And those that are insiders, I've heard multiple times now that they have a channel directly with Phil that Phil chimes in on from time to time. So that's why I said whether it's real or not, I don't know. Right? I don't know. Taxman brother still. Hey, thank you for that super chat of $3.33. I appreciate it. Is the cupboard an Xbox? No. QLED are seeming to be really popular at the moment.
Sisano a la Richard tipped $3.33 through Super Chat. Taxman brother. Still.
Oh yeah, definitely cheaper than OLED. But yeah, I just wish that, you know, the way Microsoft is going, they should have had a gentler touch with it. By kind of just completely and utterly pushing their most loyal fans aside, I think it's just a mistake. And, you know, it is what it is. But I think it's a mistake. Ventura, why do you think I'm broke? I wanted to get either the extra glasses this Christmas or the MetaQuest this Black Friday. It's not after all the Xmas gifts that I've purchased. Add to it the $100 I paid for my PS5 Pro. Just paid for my MOT, my car insurance. I am more broke now than I've ever been. And I've still got to buy the missus something for Christmas too. I don't think I'm going to get myself anything at this rate. Miller, you're right. You know, the younger generation, like my kids, they have no brand loyalty whatsoever. They don't care about PlayStation, Xbox, or nothing. They just play what's available on their PC and move on. You know, I gave my kid my PS5. Don't worry, I didn't sell it to him for $500. I gave it to him for free. I did try to sell it for $500. It didn't work. That's a joke, by the way. But John, cupboards are expensive, but he's just had his room redone, renovated and stuff, and so he wanted a cupboard for himself, my nephew. So I'm pitching in with his dad to get him something nice. I did not steal the PS5 Pro. I'm not one of these people that walked into whatever mart it was in America running off of the PS5s. I don't know. I've been looking at early access for indie. I'm not sure. I kind of want to play early, but it's going to be without the Day Zero patch. Or the Day 1 patch. And there is going to be a Day 1 patch. But this whole early access is starting to leave a sour taste. You know, at the end of the day, you're paying for Game Pass for Day 1 games and you're not getting them Day 1. I don't care if it's early access, you're not getting them Day 1. It's false advertising. Hey, Clark. Argos will be happy at least. my kids doing washing up. I wish. I know, but you're not getting the game day one. Xbox says that if you are an Xbox customer, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate customer, you get the game day one with Game Pass. You are not getting it day one with Game Pass. Other people who pay extra are getting it day one. You're getting it day 5. I'm going to call that shit out as much as I want because at the end of the day, it's wrong. They could do something else in order to make extra money. You know, sell a DLC bundle or sell some other bundle crap. But they're telling me that I should get the game day 1 and I'm not getting it day 1. I'm getting it day 5 or day 3, whatever the early access period is. And that is just getting, I don't know, it's just starting to annoy me a little bit. I like what Avowed did though. Avowed is legendary, right? Avowed said up to 5 days, so they're expecting severe server problems. They're going into that well planned. They're like, do you know what? This ain't gonna be a smooth launch, so let's just tell them up to 5 days. So when shit breaks, at least we told them up to 5 days. In terms of news, that's it. We're just discussing stuff now. You know, you got like the duality of Dreamcast guy here. Xbox is making a handheld console. Oh boy. And then, you know, the complete polar opposite reaction when Sony's making it. I mean, this guy is pretty special. We've got the upcoming games of 2020, well, what's left of this year and 2025. If nothing gets delayed, you've got Indiana Jones, Avowed, South of Midnight, Doom, Fable. Of course, they're missing Call of Duty as well. They're probably missing the annual Diablo update as well, if there is going to be one. The annual Starfield update expansion as well, because they said they're trying to make that annual release every September. So that's also missing from here. So Call of Duty, Diablo, and Starfield. So 2025 seems to be pretty packed on point. This is end of 24, start of 25. I'd say these are mid-cycle, mid either way. This is towards the end, and then you're going to have Starfield probably around September, October for Call of Duty and Diablo 4. Which two are woke games? I mean, I know that has pronouns, but if that's all it has, that's not really woke. But you have a nice night, Steve. Are you referring to the glasses? I think they're like £400 now, or maybe like $380. But yeah, like I said, I actually really wanted to use them for productivity because you can like project like 2 or 3 screens with those X reels to see how they work with that sort of thing. But apparently, there's no real way to control the actual zoom of the screens like you can do with the Oculus Quest, or the Meta Quest as it's called now. I mean, that's actually another thing, right? Microsoft has reduced their price of the Xbox console to £400 in the UK, $399.99. Sony, on the other hand, has started doing TV adverts, which Microsoft has not, and pushing the base PS5 for $324.99. That's a really good price for a PlayStation 5. They have basically undercut Xbox by £75 in the UK. That's crazy. No, Tarnished. They actually undercut Xbox by £75. So even in the market where Black Friday sales are going on, Sony has gone all in trying to get as many consoles out there and just, outsell Xbox in any way, in shape they can. I mean, you can see Sony's objective is to make Xbox disappear. As a console brand, they want them gone. That's obvious now. I mean, it was obvious for a while, but their actions now speak louder than anything. Everything Xbox is doing, they are either trying to undercut or trying to provide it in a different way that doesn't piss off their fans. And they're just not playing the same rules. I mean, that could very well be the case, Wacko. Still a great price, though. Woodpit, it's because they need to subsidize that cost. And they're not subsidizing it. I think that's really the honest truth. All right, this might make a little more sense about what Tom Warren was saying. I think this will make more sense soon. This is Xbox. Xbox is quietly implementing Select Play Anywhere across PC and working on getting all of your purchased Xbox games available to you on multiple devices to play anywhere. So who knows? Not all console games are on PC. If they can do that, it will be great. I don't know. Clearly something is brewing, and we will probably hear about it in 2 weeks' time. The Game Awards seems like the perfect opportunity to announce something big. Really big. Wacko, it's still down to publishers, and those agreements have to be made with each individual publisher. So they're probably going through the cycle as it is right now. I do not die a lot in COD. And let me show you some footage of my kid playing. See if I can find it. He recorded some stuff. I don't know if these are any good or not. But let's have a look. But yeah, this is my kid playing. Like in Stalker 2, I'm getting shot from behind a wall. That's not my fault, right? That's not my fault. But yeah, hopefully we'll actually see some big news, and whatever this news seems to be, everyone is starting to kind of ever so slightly hype it up, and it's going to be interesting to see what it is. I wonder if they're talking about like a new Windows phone. That would be interesting. Like I said, I'd buy that. I need a new phone anyway. But yeah. These are obviously his mother's jeans. What do you mean? I mean, that clearly makes sense, right? Have I beat Stalker 2? No. I got my 12-hour impression video out on it, but it does seem to it needs a couple patches. The more you play, the more it kind of seems to, the performance just gets worse. But chat, I think that's it. I think that there isn't much else to really talk about tonight. If there's anything else that you guys want to say or talk, let me know. But otherwise, I think we have reached everything that I can possibly think of to talk about. I think Xbox has gone a bit too aggressive. This whole discussion about where Xbox is heading and what it means, we'll find out sooner or later. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully we'll hear some stuff soon, and I'll have a video out on it. Avowed for me looks a little weird. I'm gonna play it, I'm gonna try it, but in terms of how I feel about it, based on just the gameplay that I've seen, it feels okay rather than great. But again, footage can be deceiving, so I will play it and judge it for myself. Read DCG video comments? What video comments? Dino Crisis? I don't think I've got time to go that far back, man. I barely have time to finish games that have multiple endings, let alone go all the way back. Anyway, people, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have an awesome Thanksgiving. You eat lots of food and, you walk away with a happy belly and fall into a food coma and have an awesome night sleeping. With that said, I am going to call it a night and see you all on Thursday. Those of you wanting to hang out over at Twitch tomorrow, I will be streaming. Maybe some Stalker 2. See how that goes. I don't know what I'm going to be streaming. I do need to start my other review that I've been trying to get out there, so I may start playing that instead, just to start my review process on that game, because, well, it's been long enough overdue that I've actually made a start, so I'll see how it goes tomorrow. But that's it. I hope you all have a fantastic night, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow or on Thursday. Peace out, and remain legend.